I can do politics.
Good.
I need to think about it.
Okay.
I'm gonna study it. It's kind of easy for somebody in this moment.
Yeah. Hmm.
How do you spell?
Just spell it best way you can.
Yeah.
Okay. Preparation for our test. So our lessons this week were about the Hebrews and how they are now camped at Mount Sinai. Well, that was one of the questions that I gave. But yeah, they were now camped at Mount Sinai, right? And so this is where the cloud led them. This was the new place that the cloud led them to. And I told you they would actually stay at Mount Sinai for some time up until the Lord was ready to move them. Okay. All right. So if if you can answer, let's just answer. All right.
Yay, we got it in the bag, right?
All right. So all the people camped down the bottom of Mount Sinai. Where did Moses go when he went to meet with the Lord? Where would Moses often go, Nariah? He would go in the mountain to meet with God. That's where the Lord called Moses to come and meet with him, in the mountain. What did God want to make with his people? I told you what it was called. He wanted to make an agreement, but it's a certain word. What is it called, that agreement that he wanted to make with them? It's called a what? Hannah?
Put my hand up.
Sorry, say it again.
Covenant.
A covenant. The Lord wanted to make a covenant with it, which is an agreement with the people. He wanted to, make that. So what was the covenant? What did the people have to do? And what would God do if they did their part? So the covenant was, if they would do this, then God would do that. What was it exactly that the Lord wanted in the covenant? Okay, Carly, what you have?
The people had to be wise and God had to make them special.
Okay, that's close. God would make them special, but what did they have to do in order to be a special treasure, royal priest to the Lord? What did they have to do?
God made the 10 commandments.
Okay, is this y'all close, but not quite, Dennis, because this is an answer tomorrow.
I know.
So what did the people have to do in order to be a special treasure to the Lord?
Obey.
Obey, not obey what?
The 10 commandments.
Obey his commands and also obeying him as well. That was the agreement. They had to obey him and his commands in order for them to be a special treasure to the Lord. If they would not do their part, then the covenant would, it wouldn't be there anymore. Okay. So what did God tell Moses he wanted to do so that the people would understand how important it was to obey? What did God tell Moses he would do so that the people would understand how important it was to obey the Lord? Not sure. Okay. No. Okay, Amina.
The 10 commandments.
Mm-mm.
The 10 commandments. All the people to get wise Moses.
Mm-mm. What did God tell Moses he wanted to do? What did God want to do so that the people would know how serious it was to keep the covenant? Camille?
Will come down and speak the 10 Commandments. to
Yes,
them?
he would come and speak to them himself. Yes, good. He said, I am going to speak to the people myself so that they will know how serious it is to keep my covenant. Okay, so God wanted the people to prepare though for his coming. What did God? It was two things he wanted them to do to prepare for his coming when he would come to speak to them.
He wanted them to build a wall up around the mountain
Mhm.
and make them wash themselves.
Yes, so they had to build a fence around the mountain and they also needed to wash their clothing to get clean in preparation for the Lord's coming. So when God came, remember he came in the form of a cloud. You know, God is not a cloud, he just came in that form. And so when he began to speak to the people, what did he speak to the people? We know it as the what? What did he give the people in that moment? The what, Faith? The 10 Commandments he gave to the people in that moment. That's what he spoke to them. So that's where the 10 Commandments come from in this moment. Okay. So whenever the Lord was speaking the 10 Commandments, as the people heard the Lord's voice, what did they tell Moses when they heard? You know, remember it was the trumpet that sounded. They saw the lightning, the thunder, the clouds, all of that. And so when they heard God's voice and God was speaking to them, what did the people tell Moses? Okay, Carly?
They don't want to talk to God anymore.
And so they wanted who to speak to them only?
Moses.
Yes, they were like, Moses, you can speak to us, not the Lord, because we're gonna die, right? But that, you know, they weren't gonna die. It was if God wanted them to fear him, to understand that he was God, pretty much. And so that's why he spoke to them like that, and they were able to see. So now they understand, okay, this is the Lord. Well, at least in that moment they did, right? So Moses, so after this, the Lord speaks to the people. Moses decides to go back up to the mountain because the Lord wanted to give Moses more commandments. Who went with Moses this time when he went up? Who was with Moses when he went up? Evan?
Oh.
No, not
Oh, no. God.
Harlem?
Jacob.
Not Jacob. Jacob is not alive anymore. Okay, let's see.
God.
Well, God was already there. Hannah? Who went with Moses this time?
Joshua.
Joshua went with Moses. But remember, Joshua had to stop halfway going up. He could not go all the way up. He had to stop halfway. So Moses went in the mountain with the Lord, and he was with the Lord in the mountain. How long had he, I'm sorry, before we get to that, who did he put in charge of the people while he was up in the mountain with the Lord? It was two people, let's say mainly one person, who was put in charge of the people while Moses went in the mountain with God?
I know both of them.
Okay, Kinley?
Aaron.
Aaron, his brother Aaron, and as well. But Aaron was put in charge of the people while Moses went back in the mountain with the Lord. So how long had Moses stayed in the mountain this time when he went in the mountain? How long was he there?
40 days and 40 nights.
40 days and nights, right? So the people, how did they begin to feel when Moses was gone for the 40 days and nights? That's like a little over a month. And they were like, where is Moses? How did they begin to feel? They became how? They felt how? Yeah, well, they were impatient, right? They were tired of waiting, and they were like, we can't wait anymore. Moses is probably never coming back. So what did they ask Aaron to do? Because they felt like Moses wouldn't come back again. So what did they ask Aaron to do for them? Josiah?
Make a god.
To make them a God specifically to do what for them? What would that God that they create do? Because they were like, we need a new God to do this. What did they want their new God to do?
They wanted their new
Right.
God to lead them to the promised land.
Yes, they said, we want our new God to bring us to the promised land. So if you remember, one of the commandments was not to make a false God and not also to have any other gods before God, and they broke the very first 2 commandments. So yeah, so the people literally made the false god, and not only did they make the false god, but Aaron actually made the false god. I'm sorry, he asked the people for their gold, and he made the false god. And then what did the people start to do to worship their false god? What were they doing that they never did for the Lord? But they were doing this for their false god. Solomon?
Have a party and celebrate.
Basically, they had a party and celebrated. They were singing and dancing. They had a big feast, all of that to worship their false god, their new god that they created, right? So as all of this is going on, the Lord tells Moses, he says, Moses, you need to go back down there and check on the people. Look what they are doing. And so how did the Lord feel? What did the Lord want to do because of the people's rebellion, meaning their sin against God? What did God want to do to the people because of what they had done, Carly? He wanted to destroy them, right? He told Moses, he says, I'm going to destroy all of the people, and I'm going to just make you a great nation, right? But what does Moses do for the people? In that moment, what does Moses do to try to change God's mind, right? What does he do? Harlem?
Pray.
He prays, right? And he's like, Lord, you have to remember your promise. Lord, what will the people say if you destroy your people? God, please be merciful. And so the Lord answers Moses' prayer, and he doesn't destroy them. I mean, they still would have to pay for what they had done, right? So when Moses goes down, he gets Joshua, and Joshua's like, it sounds like they're going to war. And Moses is like, no, that's not what they're doing. They're celebrating a false god. And so as they are going down, as they are going down, they get closer, and that's when Moses sees what they are doing. Now, what was Moses holding in his hands in that moment? If you remember what was happening in the mountain. Lyric, what was he holding?
God's rules.
The commandments, right? And so those commandments that he had, who had wrote those commandments that he had, the 2 tablets of rock? Who had wrote those commands? Yes, the commands on the rock. Hannah? Who had wrote them on the rock?
God.
God had did it himself with his finger. God wrote it. So Moses is coming down with the commandments. And when he sees what the people have done, how they've made the false god, how they're worshiping the false god, they're dancing and singing. What does Moses do with the tablets? Because he was so angry with the people. What does he do? Okay, Nariah. Somebody has one question. Huh? He throws the tablets down and they break, right? So he broke the tablets that the Lord had wrote. But you know, it was a righteous anger. He wasn't mad at the tablets. It was just he was angry at the sin, at what they were doing, how foolish it was when God had just told them the commands and spoke to them, and then they turned around and did this. So Moses was upset with them. So he goes to Aaron. He's like, why would you do this? Why would you allow the people to do all of this? And so Aaron tries to say, oh, well, I don't know, you know, we threw our gold in the fire and this false god came out, right? When no, Aaron had made the god himself. And so Moses is angry with the people because of their sin. So he takes the golden calf that they made. Remember, he broke it in pieces into a powder. And what was their punishment? The people's punishment for what they had done. What did Moses do with the powder from the calf?
They had to drink the bitter water.
Yes, he threw it in the water and they had to drink the water with the gold in it. So it was probably very bitter, not tasty at all. So then after this, Moses was like, we really need to get rid of the sin. So what does Moses ask the people? He said, if you are on whose side, what did he tell them to do if they were on the Lord's side? Meaning they still wanted to serve the true and living God, the God that had been leading them up to this point. What does he ask them to do? He says, if you are really, on the Lord's side, what do? Camille? What does Moses ask the people to do if they say that they are on the Lord's side?
stand on the other side.
to come stand near him. He says, if you're on God's side, come stand here. Right? And I told you, out of all the 12 tribes at that moment, how many tribes went to stand with Moses? How many went to stand with him? Only one tribe, which was the tribe of Levi. So what happened to everyone? And now I say everyone, but it wasn't everyone. Just keep that in mind. But what happens to those who did not go stand on the Lord's side? What happened to them who said, no, we want to worship our false god that's taking us to Egypt, the calf? What happened to them? They were what?
They died.
Yes, they were killed. Moses instructed some of the Levites to go and to slay them, all those who did not want to be on the Lord's side. So that was their punishment, for disobeying God after God had just spoke to them and they broke his commandments, like right there. And remember, whenever God had originally asked, when Moses had originally asked them if they would obey, they were like, oh yeah, we're gonna do all what the Lord says. And look how they didn't tell the truth. That's a lie. So the Lord had to punish their rebellion, their sin. And so some people died. I told you it was about 3,000 that died that day, just that day, because of their rebellion. So, well, that's why I say it wasn't everybody. Yeah.
Only the men.
Yeah. So, okay. So let's go ahead and talk about the 10 commandments a little bit. So tomorrow on the test, you will have to list some of the commandments. So we have 10 of them total. So you'll probably have to list about 3 of them on the test on tomorrow. So let's go through them. So can someone give me one of the commands? We have 10 total. I said 2 earlier, but let's see how many we can remember. Okay. All right. Let's see. Solomon, give me one. A commandment that the Lord has given the people.
Don't make a false god.
Yes, to not make false gods. You cannot make false gods. That's when he says don't make any graven images. That's a false god. Okay. All right. Another commandment.
Do not praise the false god.
That's kind of tying into what he just said. It's like the same thing.
Do not want people whenever people want to have something and you can't have.
Yes, covet. It's called covet. Thou shalt not covet. Yes, I told you that's like wanting other people's things instead of being grateful for what you have. It's when you desire everyone else's things, coveting, and something coveting leads to other things. That's why the Lord doesn't want us to covet. Okay, so we have not making any other gods and not coveting. Okay, what else do we have?
Don't try to take an autograph of God.
Yeah, that's an image. Like, yeah, that's an image. Like, it's also like if you try to draw a picture of him, try to make a statue of him, any of that, that's trying to make an image of God. Because we don't know what he looks like, Yeah, so any of that. So whether it's drawing a picture, making a statue, any of that, that's making an image of God. Okay. So no making an image, thou shalt not covet. Okay. Let's see, Dennis. Oh, you're on mute.
I'm gonna ask my grandma what are the 10 commandments. I'm gonna put a video up there, and then I'm gonna watch the show.
You're still thinking about it? Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay, Abaya, I see your hand emoji up. No?
Okay.
So one of the commands that we already said, don't make any images, and thou shalt not covet.
What does that mean?
Covet?
Yeah.
When you want what others have.
Like jealousy?
Yeah, like jealousy, envy.
It said 3.
No, it only said 2.
I thought we said don't make another god.
No, nobody has said that.
No, don't make a false god.
He said don't make an image. Yes, no, that Well, yes, don't make a false god. That yes, we do say that one. I think y'all are mixing up that one with the first command. Yes, but don't make it in. Don't make any other gods. Yes. But let me just go over the first command real quick. You shall have no other gods before God. Okay, that's two different commands. Not making a god and not having another god before God. Okay, I think that might have been what, yeah. So that's three we have. So not making another god and not having another god, meaning you put another god above God. And that can also be other things too, but we're gonna say like you decided, like how they chose the golden calf over God, that would be breaking. They both broke the first and second commandment, but that's breaking the first by they putting the golden calf before the Lord. So we have that, and then coveting. Okay, Hannah, what you have? No, we have 10, so we only have 3.
Sabbath holy.
Yes, to keep the Sabbath holy, to honor the Sabbath, the day of rest. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Camille.
I actually have 2.
Oh, one is good.
Thou shalt not lie.
Yes, not lying. Thou shalt not bear false witness, which is lying. No lying. So no other gods. Don't make another god. No coveting. No lying, and keeping the Sabbath. So that's 5. We have 5 left.
I
I know one. I know one.
Wait, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
If you have a husband, don't get rid of it.
Yes, thou shalt. It's called not committing adultery, but yes, if you have a spouse, you stay married to your spouse. Yep, that's 1. Okay, so we have 4 left.
I know.
Okay, Carly.
Still.
Do not steal. Yes, taking things that don't belong to us. Stealing. Yes, 3 more.
I know one.
Okay, Harlem.
Thou shalt not kill.
Thou shalt not kill. We don't murder people, right? It's not okay to take someone's life. We don't hold that power. Okay, Brian. 2 more. So we said no other gods. We shall not covet. Don't make an image. We shall not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not lie. Thou shalt, oh, and keep the Sabbath. So 2 more. 2 more.
We already He's saying the ones that we didn't do.
2 more. I don't want to tell you. I want y'all to figure them out. I'm trying to give everybody a chance who, maybe didn't go before I called those who did.
I don't know.
Okay. All right, Dennis, you ready? Yeah. Okay. What you have?
Obey your mother and father.
Yes. Honor your mother and father. That's 1 too. Honoring your parents. Yep. So that your days would be long. You have longer life when you obey your parents. All right. And then our last one. 1 more. I'm not telling you. I want to see if you can figure it out. I am not saying it.
Oh, no.
This was actually the 3rd command. When God was speaking them, he gave this one 3rd. We said lying already. What you got? Wait, hold on. Say it again. Well, that wasn't a command. That was just whenever he was coming, he was telling them how to prepare for his coming. So that wasn't quite a command. Okay, Lyric?
Love him with all his heart.
We should love him with all our heart, but that wasn't the 10 commandments, but it is a command, but that's in New Testament. That was actually in Deuteronomy too. But anyway, yes, no, that wasn't the part of the 10 commandments. 1 more. Solomon, what you have? Let's see.
You should not take the name of the Lord in vain.
That's it. Yes. Do not use the Lord's name in vain. That was the last one. Yes, so not using God's name and wasting his name, we don't do that. When people say like, oh my, yeah, things like that. Sometimes we do it by accident, but not using God's name in vain. Awesome. All right, so those are the 10 commandments. So tomorrow you'll have to list some of those. So if you don't remember them, it's in the Bible. Everybody has a Bible, right? It's in the book of Exodus. Exodus 20. That's where you can find all the commandments. Exodus 20. Okay? If not, I'm sure you could Google it and find it somewhere there too. But if you have your Bible, it's in Exodus 20, and then we'll also have the lesson up as well. I'll put the lesson up where you could
Miss Prudence, is there a video that I can see the scripture?
Yeah, it's on all the videos this week. I put one Monday where it's one by
I
itself.
tried to look on Monday, but it wasn't up.
Okay, I'll double check. Okay, so